Start streaming. Press that button. Cool. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Sleep well?
Sure. For like the couple hours that I did, yeah. They were like solid, dude. I got like 2 solid REM cycles in there.
Yeah.
Those 2 REM cycles were so solid, like the whole world's jealous of how they wish they could have REM cycles like that.
So 3 hours of sleep?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Biggest
woke.
struggle. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I woke up. Like you wake up like naturally. It's like, all right, I know I should get up right now because it's only like
Yep.
40 or like half an hour, 45 minutes until my alarm's gonna go off. If I get up now, I
Mhm.
won't be tired. No, I went back to sleep for like a little bit
Ooh.
and then just laid there. Yeah, so
Mm.
groggy.
Rookie mistake right
Yeah.
there. Then you interrupt your REM cycle and it's,
Mm-hmm.
yep.
Not ideal.
Yeah.
And so let's see. Last night for the like the 0 hour GFS, which would be like midnight for them. Like
Mhm.
that's just what they call it. It's like they do it over hours. They do 06, 12, 18, and 00 for midnight. But anyway, for the 00 cycle, as it was running, it got colder. For the
Mhm.
GFS, the ensemble got colder, and so then prices started coming up. You can see over here. Let's flip it over to the 15-minute candles because late at night there's not very much liquidity, so it jumps around if you don't use bigger candles. But anyway, so it came up all the way to like 4055. Yeah, just about like 4055 ish. I'll say 405, and then bounced around all over. Made $4 worthless as support or resistance just because it went through it so many times it didn't even matter anymore. And then once I guess like volume came online, although I wouldn't really, well, I don't know, is it? I wouldn't really call it volume. It's just normal. Most people started trading at 5, then price plummeted. Um, yeah, just
Yeah.
it's just all over the place. It's very choppy, like these huge, I don't know, gyrations, oscillations, swings back and forth, whatever you want to call it. This is a lot for this time of day for like 3 in the morning.
Right.
These are big. It's usually pretty tame that time of day, but um, yeah, we'll see if it goes below 8.9 here. If this holds again, like 890 ish, then I would expect it to come back up and just have like another mostly sideways day.
Yeah, a lot of it looks like from what I can see from the price action, there's a lot of indecision in the market holding over the weekend. Uh, Seems to be becoming more risky for some people. So they got looks like there's some indecision on whether they want to hold over the weekend or not at this price point, given the weather. A lot of shorts probably being closed out because now we're down to 109,500
Wow,
ballpark for open interest. Open interest is just like nose diving
this
hard.
blue line at the bottom of the chart behind me. This guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, 109. Wow.
Yeah, it's only the 11th.
Yeah, right. We still have what, till the 24th.
Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, 24th. What I'm talking about, 24th would be the last trading day for the March contract,
Yeah.
which is the front month right now. Oh, brutal.
Yeah, like
Should not
yeah,
be there.
there's just not as not as much. People are bailing on the contract. Uh
That's
like they
pretty.
feel like the
Oh,
majority of the move has been made.
um, yeah, the downward move.
Yeah, because if you're like going from 5.50 to $4, it's $1.50, and let's say the contract closes at like 3.60, that's a 40-cent move as opposed to over $1.50 move from its peak when it was 5.57.
Yeah, that's why I genuinely did. I thought it'd come up and trade today between around. I don't know, closer to $4, maybe above $4, just because it came down so much already.
Yeah, looking at the daily chart.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, and like that's a big topping tail. That wick standing out. That's a right now it's a shooting star, but it's still super early in the morning. There's a
Right.
lot more trading to be done, a lot more volume to be had. Um, but yeah, man, for anyone who got in up here at like five, anything up here. Actually, no, hang on. Anything above 480 was and then you shorted a spectacular trade coming down. Oh, was that you?
Yes, it was. So that was a spectacular trade.
Yeah, yeah. Those are. I hope we see a lot more of this. I think we will, like in the coming years.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And again, like for anybody watching, there's no sentiment involved. I don't care which way it swings. Huge swings like
Yep.
that are money makers.
Exactly.
Just like
Yeah.
back here, um, end of November. That was also a huge money maker. And then if you, I mean, I didn't go long here, but people who did, they probably made money too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, what is the weather? The weather has like been the GFS has been unable to make up its mind. So like last week, like or the beginning of this week, we had a second weather spike. We were actually talking about this yesterday. We had a second weather spike, like cold spike, like on the 19th ish of this month, and then it developed. It was confirmed over like I don't know 8 iterations. So like 2 days, like 48 hours worth of runs, and then suddenly it just disappeared, and then it came
Yeah.
back in force. That's what I was talking about. That's why I think kind of price started coming up over $4 again. But
Yeah, it came back and hit went from nothing to 27 heating degree days. When I
yeah,
say nothing, I mean nothing, hardly anything over the 30-year average is what I mean when I say that. So it was a big change.
yeah, big change.
Now it's coming back down like
Yeah.
25. ECMWF has moved up to 25 to meet it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest change was on the 34-day GFS 34-day
Oh man, just yes.
because it had for this second, you know, Baja, kind of a Baja blast for the second one of that's coming through. For that day being on the February 19th, they used to have that all the way up to almost 28 heating degree days, which would have been like serious cold for that, especially for this time of year.
Yeah, significantly above the 30-year average, which man, it's really turning into a steep drop off there. That 30-year average curve.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Um,
yeah.
But yeah, the biggest like you're talking about the 34 day. Yeah, that was the one that stood out to me. Also, the one that one comes out every 24 hours at the
Mm-hmm.
0 hour. Um, just lost a lot of. It's just bleeding heating degree
Everywhere.
days every time it runs. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for people who don't know, today, uh, the 30-year average for heating degree days is 23. And on the 15th of March, the heating degree day average is less than 16. That's how steep the curve is now. It's like if you were like a skier or a sledder or a snowboarder and you wanted to get some good speed, you saw this downward slope, you'd be like, oh sweet, I want to go down that thing. It's steep. Yeah, it's getting steep. It warms up the average warmth for uh March is super warm compared to December, January, February. Even though people back in November, December will be like, "Oh, winter doesn't even start till the end of December." And it's like, "Okay, yeah, that's technically true. Like March is, winter technically, but it's so warm on average relative to the other months that even though it's technically winter, it's not. It's spring."
That's the 34 days definitely saying it's spring. I know you're talking about 30-year Climo, but man,
Yeah. Oh, dude, and yeah, what the iteration is right now is so below the average heating degree day demand. The slopes down to below 16 by the 22nd of February. Oh yeah, Punxsutawney Phil was totally wrong.
Oh yeah.
Just
What? A
saying.
hedgehog is wrong about the weather?
Nah, bro, they're like the most accurate meteorologists of all time. That's
Yes.
the whole reason why we have Groundhog Day. And I don't mean that amazing movie starring Bill Murray.
Amazing.
I'm talking about a silly, like, superstitious tradition. ECMWF weeklies also, let's see, it also happened, and it's holding steady. It's been holding steady as far as overall appearance for a while now. This closer peak got a little higher, but like the latter peak got lower, and then like troughs down below the 30-year average for heating degree days demand. But it's been pretty consistent in where it's holding out between like 730, 740 heating degree days overall over that entire period.
Yeah. There I think both long range models have been like hinting at something like some kind of cold weather on like March 10th. I wouldn't be surprised if we see this like that, like you were talking about that big trough, like well below 30-year averages. Then I would expect some cold weather after that, just because that like rubber banding thing. I mean, colder than average, not like cold. I don't. I mean, if anything, it'd be like a reason for retracement on the way down. That kind of cold, not like, oh, we're gonna see 550 again. I don't think we're gonna see that again, uh, based on weather this season.
Right.
There's an asterisk based on weather. Asterisk.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. No, I hear you. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Putin decides to move to Kiev, then yeah, we'll probably there's a good chance we'll see 550 again.
European prices are just very slowly, just kind of trickling down, trying to form a
Hmm.
bottom, I guess. But no, they don't. It's sitting there. They're for this time of year. Their prices are just like their new average is high. It's like,
Oh,
oh, it's inflation.
expensive.
Yeah, it's
Expensive. Yeah. That was no transitory inflation there. That's
no.
inflation that's there to stay.
Yes.
And yeah. Oh, and when people who may be wondering when I said, if Putin decides to move to Kiev, like prices would, go back up there. I wasn't kidding. Yeah, if Russia invades Ukraine, I think there'll be a knee-jerk reaction that push prices up like $5 or higher. Just on like the hysteria, like the panic hysteria of it occurring.
Yeah, I mean, like you'd see. Yep. A short squeeze. Anybody who's shorted at 550 might cash out. Like who's still holding. Like
Hmm.
it'd be a big thing because there would be so much uncertainty surrounding it, and
Oh yeah.
people, to quote some blog post, people would buy first and ask questions later.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I think.
European prices would like double because right now they're in the 70s. They go back up like 150 in a heartbeat.
Yes.
Like that just kind of those kind of like big moves like that just makes waves throughout because then like oil would spike and it is all a lot of these trades are linked. There's a not, a majority or anything, I'm not saying that, but there's a significant amount of trades that, people link together between different commodity prices like natural gas, oil, spot prices between different months and contracts. And that huge of just a like boulder being thrown in the pond like makes just big waves and everything gets affected by it momentarily at least. But I'm thinking that won't happen. If that happens, then I'm thinking it won't happen till March. Putin's got some meeting with a bunch of German CEOs, uh, where they talk business, they talk euros. I was gonna say, the big Benjamins, but they don't use the Benjamins over there. They use the euros. Whoever's on that €100 note, they talk that. I have no idea who it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that €100 note person. They talk that. I mean, let's see here.
Oh.
the inventory came in yesterday, and let's see, your volume right now is tepid. We're at just over 24,000 contracts of the day. We did 110,000 yesterday, which is like a quote unquote like healthy amount. We've had some like super high trading days, at as far as volume is concerned at the beginning of this month. So that amount seems like, oh wow, that's not really that much, but no, I mean that's pretty normal.
Yeah, that natural gas weekly update came in.
Hmm. Yeah. How's that production doing? Do you know?
Yeah, it's at 90.5. So, man, like, yeah, we
Sorry, what was that again?
90.5. Dry
Ooh,
production is what I look at.
yeah.
Yeah, well above what we thought or what we were talking about yesterday. We read like I was mentioning, there were like two or three really reliable news sources that I actually consider news articles. Most of them, like we talk about, are just blog posts. But
Hmm.
yeah, one of those credible sources was saying 86.7.
Yeah.
They thought that freeze offs had impacted production more. It may have just temporarily like on a moment in time may have dropped down there. I don't know. We'll have to find out if they're permabulls too, or like they're hoping for the bullish scenario, so they report accordingly. But the
That'd
EIA,
be
which
sad.
is like what I think everybody actually looks at,
Uh-huh.
is unless you have a Bloomberg terminal or something, is saying 90.5 for that week. So, um, yeah, that's freeze offs. That happens every year, like we've talked about. It'll recover. How quickly it recovers, I think, kind of determines how quickly price will fall for the season.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point in the game, yeah. So our top, I think, was like 90, 97 and change back in December,
Hmm. Yeah.
and by top, I don't mean like all time highs. I just mean like for this season, like in near the recent history.
Right.
So I'd look for dry production like over the next, let's say, month, because we have this cold weather coming in this weekend also. But see, like over the next month, I'd look for those to reach back toward 97. Let's see.
Yeah, absolutely. They're expecting the average for the year to be like a little over 96. The EIA is.
Yeah, and looking at the South Central weather, like for regional weather, like for the Permian. And yeah, it's going to be cold there. Not as cold as it was before, but I think they might see some more freeze offs realistically, maybe. But it's not like holy shit, they're totally going to see like half of the production there freeze off. No.
Only if you want to try to whip up hysteria.
Yeah,
I mean, like, oh, dude, this is gonna happen because there's like a 1 in 1,000 chance that it could on the weather model,
yeah. And then
and
yeah,
then you
you
just like
you build up from
you're being technically honest. It's possible that that's like how you word it.
right. Yep.
And then it's like, oh, you're technically being honest, and a transparently open source of information, which is totally biased.
Yeah, a lot of things are possible. Um, let's see. The Looking at the weekly update still. The
Uh-huh.
inventories, they're nearing the bottom end of the 5-year average range,
Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, good point.
but they're still in range.
Yeah. What was that? Here we go. Oh, for people who are interested, I'll post it for us, but for people who are watching and are interested, article came out today in Energy from the EIA. Uh, that's good. It's about European uh, market, the European natural gas market, and it's got a map showing like the routes of delivery through like pipelines and whatnot. And you can see where all the pipelines are coming from, like Russia, Norway, and North Africa, and Central Asia and whatnot, like through Turkey and all that. And you can see like how many, one pipeline gets talked about all the time in the media, Nord Stream 2, but coming from Russia, but there's like over half a dozen pipelines coming from Russia into Europe. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah, there are a ton. I remember when we looked at that one map weeks ago, and we realized like, oh man, there's so many pipelines over there.
yeah, they just are like, oh, whoops, putting in the wrong thing. Let me delete that. But yeah, I would suggest, recommend people going over there, looking at it if they're interested in that sort of thing, so they can go look at a source of information to be more aware of what's, the infrastructure really looks like over there. um, because as we become more and more of a exporting country, like we're going to be number one in volume, United States is, and it's going to keep growing, going to continue to be expanding our exporting capacity over the next 2 years. For at least that long. If there's going to be more investment in it or not, that's obviously a big question mark. But at least for the next like trading season that we're looking at, start formulating plans for the next trading season. That's a factor to be considered. How export capacity is going to be larger 1 year from now than it is today. Like how much can be exported per day.
Yeah,
So that's something for people to, I think, be aware of, because the larger of a percentage of our production capacity that is exported, the greater amount of sensitivity the United States can experience from international uh, like market, like the climate, the international climate of prices. Because someone's contract comes in to be renegotiated and it gets bid up. It's like buying a house. Market gets hot. It's hot in a season. People go to buy a house. They bid up the price, and then that's like the new comp that stuff in the neighborhood looks at, and that can happen for natural gas where contract expires. People bid it up because one market's like super desperate for gas. Then all of a sudden that becomes, oh, well, is this the new norm to, sell gas at $3 or higher? Because being below $3 was like a normal thing all the time. People can go look at any of the contracts that are out, that exist right now, and can go look back at them over a year ago. And most of the time, the contract is below $3. It's just like this like little flat line that's out there, and then it like peaks up till recently.
yeah. This past season really,
hmm
yeah,
Yeah, so that's something to always like think about. Oh, okay, our new contract's coming out. Is it gonna like stay like at or above $3? Is that gonna be like the new norm for a price point? Again, we're just talking in in a window of time that you could actually like use for a trading strategy. Not like, oh, like 10 years from now, because that's we're not college professors. We don't just talk about theoretical nonsense for no reason. There's no like basis on reality.
and we're not day traders, so like we don't care about the
Yeah.
things like, yeah. So we're swing traders. We do this. We've been doing this for years, and so these are the things that we look at because this way we have an idea. We're building our knowledge base for next season, and you can't just like read up overnight and catch up on a year's worth of data. You need to like compile it and put it away in your memory banks, and have an idea of what to expect. And so like the way you could translate what you're talking about into like a trading plan was like, can we expect prices to go below $3 in the future? If not, then maybe you'd want to, like, if you're a seasonal trader, maybe you'd want to go long before. You're not waiting for that 280, 275 mark anymore. You're waiting for like the
Mhm.
$3, 315, somewhere in there.
Right. Yep, exactly. If you're like short right now, then you're like looking at where you would close out your short position, based on which contract, someone would be in. And then because if they're, looking for a May contract to go to 275, and if that's no longer realistic, because it's been realistic in the past. Again, someone could go look at the May contract of this year, go look at its history, and you can see it's spent plenty of time below $3. But if that's no longer a realistic price point, and I'm not saying that it's not, it's even though I don't think it is, but actually I am saying that. I'm saying I don't think it is. I don't think prices are going to be going below $3. And yeah, I'll be that guy. Like, yeah, I don't think prices are going below $3. We're below average on inventory. Uh, Expectations are that we are not going to inject gas into inventory as quickly this year as we do relative to the 5-year average of injections. That's not expected. So that could be wrong. And then like the price, the market could get shocked and like there could be a stampede on price and it could go. But given what, expectations are right now, since sentiment is one of the three main drivers of the market, sentiment, fundamentals, and technicals, I don't see prices being like 250, 275 like they've, done in the past. Because like years ago, for people who may not have been trading years ago, we'd look at stuff like 225 for like an entry point to like go long, like prices that low on just like a normal, like regular basis. You know what I mean? And again, that's a spitball number, a ballpark hand grenade horseshoe number, but like lower, below 250 on certain months, we would look at that price. It's like, oh, okay, here's a sweet like buy-in opportunity when the price in this month is below, when prices below month X are below 250, it's good to go long for a mark, contract Y. You know what I mean? Because then you would pick all these, a contract out in the future that you like to trade because the liquidity environment of it, and would like go long from that point.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
I don't, I don't, but I don't think we're gonna be seeing prices that low. Oh,
I
sorry. Go
agree.
ahead.
Absolutely. I don't think we'll see prices that low either, and that's definitely something that has changed. But yeah, based on I think mostly globalization, just like you're saying.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I think so. Increased export capacity has been going up faster than production, which is easy when you have a really small export capacity. Like let's say hypothetically your goal for export capacity is 2.2 billion cubic feet a day.
Okay,
And
good number.
it's really easy to double that, to like 4.4 as far as like percentage. Like your percentage moves are, enormous. Then your export percentages are going up way faster than your production uh capacity. If your production capacity is like 90 billion cubic feet a day, because then if you increase your production by 2.2 billion cubic feet, uh it's a little over 2% production capacity increase, but your exports increase by 100%.
Yeah,
And in the modern world, for people who think like, oh, that might be, then that wouldn't that just like cancel out or be a wash or whatever. Well, in the modern world, because we're talking about like modern, like contemporary, like market fundamentals, larger percentages of the population are shifting to geographic areas in the United States, because we're talking the U.S. Like contracts here, are moving to areas where they have air conditionings, and so air conditioning demand is way higher now in the summer than it used to be in the past, relative to 10, 15 years ago. And they're using natural gas to power them historically, like a lot more than in the past, also because of eliminating coal from, the power grid. That coal is a much smaller percentage of energy production now than it was 20 years ago. And a lot of that production capacity is coming from natural gas to cover that. I know that may, not be what someone's, favorite politician has told them, but that's just the reality. You can go look at the EIA website and you can read up all about this, which is exactly where I read it from. Just like
Yeah, yeah. It's just data. There's no
just
politics
data.
involved here.
That's
There's
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
it's just data. That's all we look at.
Yeah. And so I'm
Totally.
just pointing that out because like a person's personal politics can like influence whether they're going to be a perma bull or a perma bear or just like be in denial about a certain market condition, and then they could be like going short when they should be going long and vice versa. Um so like I was short this last couple weeks because of like my understanding of the market fundamentals and you know all those things that play in the market. And so I understood that that price up above $5 was way too high, like it was unsustainable. And so now I'm looking for a point to go long right now, and that's just how it changes, just based on price relative to calendar time, and it's due to that understanding of the fundamentals. And so that's why, so sorry, I got off track there a little bit, but that's why, due to that increase, like domestic demand for natural gas that has occurred, that is why increasing in that scenario, increasing production by 2.2 billion cubic feet a day on average, when exports increase by 2.2 billion cubic feet a day over that same time frame, would not be a quote unquote wash. That would actually be a bullish indication for prices because domestic demand for gas would increase also over that same time frame. So you'd actually have less gas per person, like as far as weighted for demand.
Right. So that production increase would cover the exports, but it wouldn't also cover the increased demand just
The
from
domestic
yeah,
demand. Yep.
exactly. Yeah, just
Mhm.
people using it.
Yep. Just from people using their air conditioners and coal power plants being turned off and uh,
When the wind doesn't blow.
yeah, when the wind doesn't blow and the wind turbines don't spin. That's what happened to Europe this last year. They had super low wind speeds on average, and so they didn't get nearly as much energy out of wind turbines as they would have liked. Because, frankly, Europe has not invested in green energy sources like they said they would for the last 20 years, and so now that's why all of a sudden it caught a whole bunch of other people by surprise. Some of us were not caught by surprise by this, but all of a sudden natural gas and nuclear energy are green. They're like, "Oh, you are now green sources of energy, my child." And that's because that's just the reality of what's been going on behind all of the like political speeches. Anyone who was looking at the data for for years, like knew, like saw this coming. Was like, "Oh yeah, this is totally like what are they gonna do? Like not have the lights turn on? We're just gonna have oh we're out of energy. We're just gonna have a blackout for like 4 months while we wait for like no, that's not gonna happen. Like
People
that's
aren't going to
the
sit there
you,
in the
you,
dark and the cold and
yeah, literally, like you
yeah.
just gotta have like the old school terms, common sense, but you just have to have it. Like I know, like for some, it's like you can't like. I'm just saying, like you can't let your whatever your politics may be uh to influence that you know It's kind of like I read on an article yesterday about they're developing fusion. There's like some big breakthroughs in fusion that are coming out recently, which I'm super stoked for.
Yeah.
And that's something, that I'm super stoked for. And that would eliminate, the need for natural gas. Like if we got fusion up and running, like that would be amazing. Right now they're looking at like a 2050 time frame for it. But I would love it if it was here today. I would love that. And I would love, all those things. And if a politician told me that, we were going to put a bunch of funding into it, I'd be excited about it, and I personally would support it. But that doesn't mean I'm then going to be like, oh, dude, gas is going to $1 because we're going to have fusion and we don't need gas no more. That's how I then if I did that, then I would just lose all my money. If I were,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Does
yeah.
that make any sense? Like,
It,
yeah,
yeah, it
I
does.
mean, just like so it's like it's irrelevant that I feel that way. It's just personally, like for when I go to like I don't know, like listen to like when it's election year and I listen to speeches, that is like a totally different part of my life than when I sit down to trade gas. Like when I sit down and trade gas, I just look at like the reality of what the gas market is, not what I wish it was or hoped it was or whatever.
Look at the data. Do your own research. Right, it all comes back to that.
Yeah, exactly. Look at the data, do your own research, don't rely on a politician's speech to be that's not research. That's not a credible source of information.
I don't think. Yeah.
But people do.
Oh yeah.
People lap it up like chowder.
Chowda.
Yeah, not even the good kind either. It's like that canned nasty crap
Like
you
the
see at the canned
Progresso.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Campbell's or whatever. It's just nasty stuff that's sitting in a can for 2 years on the grocery store shelf. Not anymore. Now there's like empty store shelves everywhere. I don't know where other people live, but where we live, there's just like food shortages. Even though they say they're not food shortages, even though every time I go to the grocery store, all these areas of the shelf that used to not be empty 2 years ago, before 2 years ago, because I do my own grocery shopping for like day myself here, like over 20 years now. Um, like, oh well, none of these spots were empty before, but now all of a sudden they're all empty. Like every time I go to the grocery store, but then they're gonna tell me that there's not like a problem. But
Yeah. I can't buy the things that I could buy even like 6 months ago.
yeah, exactly. 6 months ago, I could just buy all this stuff like on a whim. On what I forgot to get that. Oh, cool. I just run down real quick to the store and get all this, and it's no big deal. Well, now you don't even do that because to go down there. I've already gone down there enough times and been like, oh, nobody has it, and gone to like 4 grocery stores and nobody has it. And then like, yeah, okay. But no, everything's cool now. It's all good. It's like, nah, please
Yeah.
do your own research. That's a great example of do your own research. Keep that, for the grocery store, but like relate that to natural gas.
So price action behind me.
Hmm.
15-minute candles. We reached the low from yesterday, ballparkish, so like 389,
Hmm.
and it sat there for a while
Yep.
and
Tested it
tested
what,
it.
4 times?
Yeah, a bunch, and then finally, the market opened 5 minutes
Yeah.
ago, and then people were like, "Well, that's enough." Whoever thought it was a good deal here to buy at 389 for March contract, they pushed the price up. So maybe we'll get to VWAP. Maybe it'll sit here sideways. I'm expecting a gap down on Monday.
That's what I expect. I expect a gap down. If prices are in this ballpark area at the end of the day, like 385 or higher. If prices are 38 closed today at 385 or higher, I expect a gap down on Monday. Yeah, that's right. I'm that guy. I'll put out my expectations. It's all good. I don't mind.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, I mean, I'm in agreement. I think it's
Yeah.
reasonable.
On a side note, that's totally unrelated to natural gas. I got a new tattoo on last Friday. So I'm like a week out on it now. So I take the bandage off tomorrow morning. But like it's on my forearm, and so like the hair on my forearm at this point is like growing through it, so it itches like
Oh.
it's like someone like doused my forearm in itching powder.
Oh no.
Because like I have my forearm shaved for the tattoo. Well, now the hair's like growing through it underneath the bandage, and so it's just like itchy like crazy. This is the kind of thing you would do if you wanted to torture someone.
Just give him a tattoo.
Yeah, but I love it. Oh, what does that say about me?
You like tattoos?
Yeah, I love tattoos.
Yeah, but
Volume's definitely picked up in the last hour.
oh yeah,
Looking at 15-minute candles. For people who are keeping tabs on that, which I do, I think that's a great technical and fundamental indicator for like a day to day, like for me to like gauge things on price. Like how serious is the price being taken is what I mean by that. Uh, like if we were at like 10,000 volume right now for the day, I would not be taking that price seriously. Whatever the price may be. if that makes sense.
Right, yeah, movement up or down, but it's on low
Mhm.
volume, and yep, I
It's
agree.
super easy to manipulate, quote unquote manipulate, or get it out of alignment with things like sentiment, technicals, and fundamentals because there's not nearly as many people in the market. Like a whole bunch of people are on vacation, like the day after Thanksgiving, like the day
You
after.
can see here, looking at yesterday, yeah, price came down a lot, came down to the same place, to 389, and then it was just really choppy, working its way up to about $4. This is trying to get the right day behind me. Here we go. Right here. So yeah, hit the same bottom that it did today. I'm not calling it a bottom. I'm just saying like that point of support.
Mhm. Yeah.
390 here, and then worked its way back up to $4 yesterday. You can see all this. I mean, it's really choppy, back and forth,
hmm
and it's not like a
Those are tall candles.
yeah,
That's what
yeah,
you mean by when you say it's choppy. That's what you're saying, that those 15-minute candles are tall.
yes, yep, and um, I could see that happening again today. Is all I'm saying. Like kind of
Yeah, me too.
the battlefield, like, or whatever, the indecisiveness battle. It's a battle for price action between bears and bulls. People are just trading and making money, but it, yeah, I mean, I just wouldn't be surprised if it worked its way back up to $4 based on um 2 days in a row of 389 being confirmed as support. If it breaks through that, I think it'd take a lot of volume. I mean, and I don't mean break through it to like 387. I mean like 380. Yesterday, I said I thought it would go down to 380. It didn't. It worked its way down there. But this is why I don't day trade, because I don't know.
Yeah, I don't day trade either. For people who are wondering, I think we say that like pretty much every uh live stream, and I believe like even though we've never said it like to each other, I think we just, since we understand the trading culture so much, that we have this, like, we subconsciously are aware that the vast majority of people, when they see someone trading, they assume that the person is day trading, and that people who are not day trading will even call themselves day traders, uh, which is not both cases. The people are incorrect. They are erroneous in what they're saying. Um, like, so we swing trade is what we do. Is what we look for in setting up trades. On rare occasion, like on rare occasion, we do end up having a day trade because we're like, oh, have a buy-in point, because we have a plan, like a trading plan, because we swing trade. So we have buy-in points and sell points, like buy, sell, buy here, sell here. That way, like, helps eliminate emotion. And sometimes on super rare occasion, like our buy point and our sell point happen on the exact same day, but that is not intended, because we're not scalping. We're not looking at, buy and sell points that are really, 2 cents apart or whatever. Um, but because natural gas is so volatile, every once in a while that does happen, and we have a trade close out in a single day. Uh, so then, we're technically day trading there, but it's not intentional. And so that's why we don't call ourselves day traders. We don't, uh, say what we're doing is setting up a day trade, because that's not what we're doing. That's also why you don't see us like this, like like bouncing in our chair. Oh shit! Oh shit! Uh,
Yeah.
I'm super confident in my system. I swear to God, I'm confident in it. Buy it from me now. Uh, Even though like there's nothing but like panic all over the person's face as you watch them. No, that's why you don't see any of that. That's why uh, we are what we are, like, personality wise, when we're here and when we trade. And like we've talked about before, we literally wake up like for those of us who sleep, literally wake up like 10 minutes before this live stream starts. Like when you see us like drinking coffee, many times it's like our first cup of coffee for the morning.
Yep.
uh so like, I know some people will try to convince you that, oh man, you got to be like super whatever clear-minded to trade when the market's open or whatever. But I'm like, no, like you want to have it all planned out. I'll tell you that. I think what we do is we have it all planned out beforehand, and it's all just set up, and so then it's basically just on like you're checking in on the market every day just to be plugged into the market, and that's it. By being plugged in, just being kept abreast of what sentiment is, what fundamentals are, how they've changed over the day, because there's like just that collection of little tiny changes over time, then build up to something bigger later down the road. So seeing it coming, being able to anticipate it instead of like being just
Instead of being
unplugged from it.
reactive, yeah, we're capturing the
Yeah.
movements that we think the market will make instead of like reacting. Like right here, like seeing this huge candle, I probably would have gone long. Or like my former self, when I was trying to day trade, I probably would have
Hmm.
reacted and gone long. But instead of doing that, we're looking at these charts, the daily charts, because there's a lot more money to be made over a move from up here, over $5 down to $4 than there is in that little spike that we were just looking at. Like I don't know
You were
what it was, 4 cents.
you're absolutely correct. Yes, there is.
Yeah, so much more money, and all you have to do is just be in a position, and like the work is in the reading, and then once you're in that position, so like let's just talk about it explicitly. So we shorted up here, and now just waiting for like the money printer to say it's getting tired and cash out,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's what it is, and there's a lot more money to be made right here, a lot less emotional turmoil, and a lot less chance for error, and by
Yeah.
error I mean like usually it's caused by reacting to the market, like what I was just saying. So
Hmm.
yeah, like
I call it over trading.
yeah, well
It's
not
like
like
overworking out, like overtraining. I said overworking out, even though the term's overtraining,
yeah,
because it sounds so close to trading that I don't want people to like confuse it. Like I was saying the same thing.
oh right.
Because it's like, oh, I'm going to engage in like 2 to 3,000 trades a year by day trading, or I'm going to engage in like 20 trades a year and make like 100 times more money.
Yeah, that's these are not exaggerations. This is the reality of it. Swing trading
Yeah.
for the win. It's good. Feel good, sir?
Oh, I feel awesome. I hope everybody has a fantastic day. I've had half a pot of coffee, so I'm feeling way better.
Oh yeah, I'm about right there with you.
Yes.